Hi guys, it's Mike or Mikey, whatever you prefer to call me. Today's video we're talking about prison or jail, whichever you prefer, incarceration. Okay, so just a little bit on me. I've never been in trouble before this incident, and I haven't been in trouble after. As a child, I got up to a lot of mischief, I will always admit, but I was never caught or convicted or anything. And yeah, there was a couple of times in my early youth where I did things I'm not proud of, but one of the worst things that I did was I used to drive my mum's car. I was taught how to drive very, very early in my life, and I was pretty much an accomplished driver by the time I was 13. And so I used to take her car when she was out either working or drinking. I used to drive the car. We lived on a terraced house with sort of on-road parking. I used to have a little cone that I used to put out, and yeah. So my sort of brush with the law was very young, and I sort of had that streak in me where I could, toe the line, so to speak. What sort of caused my issues was, in the previous video I've spoke about a relationship that had broken down, and in that relationship, at the end of it, we'd been through the family court. So what I didn't know was when I separated from her, I was looking after my son. I had custody of my son, and she'd gone to the family courts and made out that there was an emergency. I was this, I was that, completely assassinated my character. I knew nothing about it. None of it has been proven. She just did what she had to do to get custody of my son. I think it was a financially motivated move, because it's later transpired that my son had a very neglected childhood, been mentally abused, really, really suffered. And I actually won custody of my son back in 2023 as a sort of like young adult, but it was nice to win that custody back. So when I separated from her in the first 6 months, because there was an issue where she wanted to come back home, and I said yes, you can, but on the proviso that there is a court order in place for 3 days a week. So I'd been to the court, got that court order. That was like £4,000. Invited her back home. It didn't work out. The abuse and the drinking all carried on, and the relationship fell apart in 2013, January 2013, the first. And then from that moment, she was making it very difficult for me to see my son. So I was picking him up on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, evenings and overnight. That was stipulated in the court order. So I would turn up at the school and she'd be there, and then she would ring the police to say that I'm there to kidnap him. Then it went from that to me actually picking him up, taking him to my mum's, and then a ringing and saying that I'd kidnapped him. And so I was having the police turn up. It was completely destroying me, and it was destroying my son. He spoke to the office on more than a couple of occasions and said that it wasn't an issue. He wanted to be with his dad, and the police left him with me, and then I returned him at the correct times. So then I formed a new relationship with my daughter's mother in the February, so about 4 weeks after I'd split up from my ex-partner. And then the contact really started to be reduced by her. She would not answer her phone. I'd come to the house, my house where they were living, and I'd find that the curtains were shut, no answer at the door. All these games that were just horrible, mind games, and they were killing me inside. And then very early on into my relationship with my daughter's mum, we were caught pregnant almost straight away. And I don't know why I did this, but I told her about the pregnancy, and I shouldn't have done that. But what that did was it made things 10 times worse. So just to tell you how bad it got, my son never actually met his sister until 2023. So once she finds out about the pregnancy, she's completely cut the contact from me now. It gets to a stage where, and this will play out a little bit later on, I stupidly rang the Jeremy Kyle show, desperate for help. Yeah, desperate for help. Didn't know what to do. I'd been to the courts, I've had solicitors, and I had a court order, and the policeman who's seen my son on one of those nights said to me, unfortunately the court order isn't worth the paper it's written on. Which was heartbreaking, you know. So yeah, we go from very, very invaried contact for the first 6 months to absolutely nothing. Okay. I was doing everything. I was begging her, messages, emails, everything, and this all sort of accumulated into a charge later on. Just to make it clear, my contact to her was just to see my son. It's all I was interested in. My daughter is then born. So if you can imagine, my life has gone from being in a settled relationship with my son's mum to within 12 months being in another relationship, homeless, in another relationship, expecting another child. That is how quick my life changed. And I wasn't very well. I now know, looking back on it, I was really ill, very ill. Probably should have been sectioned. And what was happening was I was having mental health breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, and there was things triggering it. So the incident that I spoke about in my last video, where my life changed overnight, kept replaying in my head, and every time I seen sirens I kept getting triggered, and I was beside myself. And the longer this went on for, the worse I was getting. I was getting so unwell. I was not eating for 5-6 days at a time. I'd gone from about 15 stone down to about 11 stone in a matter of weeks. Very, very ill. And I, in my infinite wisdom, decided that I was going to confront her about this. I knew where she worked, obviously. So I'd gone into work that day looking for an argument, and I got it very quickly, and that made me leave work straight away. I then went to the nearest pub and drank from 9 o'clock in the morning to about 3 in the afternoon. 1 pint after the next, Stella as well. And then I decided it'd be a good idea to go and confront her about my contact with my son. Where she worked was round the corner from the boozer that I was in. So I go to confront her, and by the time I reach her, she's already in a car, and I can hear her on the phone to the police straight away, and this just absolutely enrages me. And unfortunately for everybody involved, and this is one thing that I am sorry for, it should never have happened. And this act that took place gave my ex-partner everything that she needed to hit me over the head for the rest of my life. So I ended up damaging her car, and the actual charges that they did me for was criminal damage. They had me on a threats to kill charge, which was later dropped, and a harassment charge, which is if your relationship has got to that stage, you know, I thought I could just try and repair it. You know, that's the sort of EUPD in me. I don't like relationships that have broken down, and I'll always try to repair them. I care, you know, I really care. So that's why I was so hell bent on trying to sort of win around in a way, and it was just absolutely wasting my time. All I was doing was just giving her more and more ammunition. And this is a lesson, yeah, guys. Like, if you're going through this, reach out, talk to me. I've been through it. Don't make the same mistake I did, okay? Because I was very ill at that time. I didn't realise how ill I was until I spoke about it with a psychiatrist. That's how far it got. You know, I was, you know, I've been diagnosed with personality disorders, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, self-harm, and the other thoughts. I'm not going to mention them because, you know, YouTube don't seem to like them sort of words. You know, depression, anxiety, but like real chemical depression, you know. Yeah, I was in a mess. So I had damage to the car. I then ran away from that scene and went on the run effectively for 2 days. So the police were looking for me. Greater Manchester Police were looking for me for 2 days, ringing my phone constantly. I'd spoke to my then partner, who told me to hand myself in, and I went into work on the Monday morning expecting the police to be there, but they weren't, and I handed myself in. So in the interview, I am talking absolute gibberish. I think I'm being smart. I've got absolutely no legal representation whatsoever, and in the sort of lunacy that was going on, I was admitting to everything that I did. And again, please learn from these lessons. If you find yourself in trouble, legal representation, even if it is funded by the government, just anything, you need something. Don't go in there thinking you're Billy Big Nuts and you're going to get away with it, because you won't. So I pretty much admitted to everything that I did, and then I was held in the sort of police holding cells until the courts on the I think it was a Tuesday morning. So I was taken to Manchester Crown Court on the Tuesday morning, and I was before a judge called Judge Mansell, of Manchester Crown Court, and I was duly convicted of harassment and criminal damage. Now, in the judge's remarks, the mother of my son had requested that there be a lifetime restraining order in place between me and my son. That is that is who you're dealing with. I was lucky that the judge didn't sort of take heed of that. His parting words were, I'd never put a restraining order in place between a father and son. He convicted me of the criminal damage, but I didn't have to pay any costs, and I think that was because he understood what she was putting me through. The threats to kill was dropped. I don't even remember saying anything like that. This was all her word. I had no real recollection of the incident. So yeah, I was then sent to Strangeways HMP Manchester. So I was brought in on A wing, which is known as the PDF file wing, but when I went to Manchester, it had been split between the introduction wing and the other. Now, as mad as this is, I was actually only jailed for 1 day. I was taken into Strangeways. I was put through the full induction, and then on the following day, so the Wednesday, me parents had filed for what I think is called a judge in chambers or judge in chambers. So it's where a criminal conviction happens and you're sent to jail, and then people on your behalf can say, whoa, hang on, he's got a full-time job, he's got children, he has this, he has that, he's got this responsibility, that responsibility, the other. And on that balance, they decide whether they're going to release you or not. And in my case, they released me straight away on a tag for 18. So I was given 18 months suspended, and or 18 months convicted, and then the following day it was suspended, on the condition that I wore a tag between 7 and 7. I went and did a course on something called Building Better Relationships, which was actually quite useful in the end, and I had to do 200 hours community service. So I am now back at home with my partner and my daughter, very young, and I'm fixing cars outside in the back garden, as well as working full time. And then I'm on my driveway one day and I'm doing a set of cylinder heads on a Lexus 430 V8, and I just lifted my head above the bonnet and I could see my ex-partner's car parked at the end of my driveway. Now, there is a restraining order in place between us both for life. That is it. We're not allowed to contact each other at all. Now, I don't know what she was saying, but I sort of just gave her the fingers, yeah, and then she went. Now, what I didn't realise was that was breaching the restraining order, and that breach then reactivated the 18 months sentence. It had gone from now being suspended to active. So I'm in my bed, it's a Saturday night, my partner knows what's happened during the day. I'm in bed at night, I've got my Indian on its way, I'm watching Match of the Day, and bang 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 at the door, and that copper's knock, you'll never forget it. So they come into the house, I'm on tag, everything, and they arrest me for breaching the restraining order. So then I get put back into Strangeways, so I go through the Pendleton police station, then took before the courts on one of those sweat boxes in the morning, and then I find myself again in the court being convicted of this charge. So then I'm sent to jail, and I'm in jail for approximately 4 weeks. I think it's about 4 weeks. So I went in addicted to alcohol and prescription pain medication, and because they had held me captive over the weekend, so they picked me up on the Saturday. I didn't go before the courts till the Monday, so I wasn't actually in Strangeways until like late Monday afternoon. But all of the sort of like reminiscences of trace elements, so like alcohol and codeine and things like that, are not in your blood anymore. So when you go into the introduction of Strangeways, they strip you down, they check your lower half, they check your upper half, not all at the same time, it's all done one at a time. You sit on a chair to make sure you've got nothing up your backside. I knew nothing about jail, I didn't have a clue. I went in there still in my work clothes. That's how clued up I was. And they, so I'm in Strangeways. I'm in the holding cell, so you get put in like a pen, if you like. So all the people coming in from the court that day will end up in this pen, and then they get processed, and then they get put on a wing. Now, usually, if it's your first time in jail, and maybe even if it's not, but in those first couple of weeks, you're gonna be put on an introductory wing. So I was put on with the first night I was in with a really foreign national guy. I didn't understand a single word he said. That was the first night. He was gone the following day, and then luckily for me, a young guy from Preston who was arrested and convicted of a massive drugs operation in 2015. I've forgotten his name now, but he was young, he was about 18, blonde hair, really skinny, and he was absolutely cacking himself of jail, and I was as well. Never been in, apart from that one day before. I had no idea what jail was about. So for the first week or 2 weeks, I'm put in a cell with somebody who I won't name, but I do know his name, and he is a prolific burglar, and he we're living in this cell, and I'm just finding my feet. I don't know how to contact people. I've got no clothes. I'm worried about the showers. So I've not had a shower for about 3 days at this point because I'm petrified of getting you know what. So this was absolute madness. So we're in this cell, and so he was a bit of a bodybuilder, this kid, and I'm on the top bunk, which is what you have to do when you're first in a cell. And it was a Sunday, and I remembered it was like a top 40 songs on BBC Radio 1 or something like that it was. And I'm lay on my bunk bed, and I couldn't hear him pacing up and down the cell. So I'm thinking, what's he doing? So I just picked my head up like that, and he's sort of like tensed up like this, and he starts saying, "I'm going to smash your head in." So I was like, why? And he said, "I don't want you in this cell anymore." And I was like, well, I can't do anything about it. So he keeps pacing, he's getting worse and worse and worse. Next minute, he's on his hands doing a handstand, doing press-ups, with his whole body weight on it. So he's handy. And then he starts threatening to kill me. And I was like, what do we do? There was nowhere to go. I was completely backed into a corner. I was on the bunk bed, and he was saying if I came down off the bunk bed, he was going to kill me. So this goes on for about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And then what happens then is he then calms down, and then the following day, so that was a Sunday, and then the following day, in jail you have jobs like servery, or he was making clothes in another part of the jail. I think it was clothes anyway. And I thought to myself, I better say something here, because it's going to go off. And then he came back from work. I'd been in the cell all day. "Hi mate, how's it been?" And just wouldn't talk to me. And I just thought, oh, here we go. Next thing, he's pacing up and down the cell again, threatening to kill me. So instead of just sitting there, I jumped off the bed and I sort of confronted him a bit, which sort of made him back off. And then I just hit the cell bell. So in every cell, you've got a cell bell. So when you hit that, within a few minutes, staff will be on scene. Now, you know, them few minutes can be crucial, because I could imagine people have been killed in them minutes. Luckily for me, they came and they took me out of that cell, and then they put me in another cell on K-Wing, and so this was about after 2 weeks. They put me in this cell, and then the lad that I'd met in the first few days, like I say, you move cells quite a bit when you first get in there. So I'd met this young lad, and then we both ended up on this wing together. He was padded up with somebody else, and so was I. And then the guy that I was padded up with didn't want to be in the same cell as me anymore for whatever reason. Another lunatic. And I spotted this young kid, and I said to him, do you want to come in with me? And he said yeah. So luckily for me, I got in the cell with somebody who was really nice. He was a good kid. Just found himself on the wrong side of the law, struggling for money, like we all are. Then after 4 weeks, me mum and dad take it back to a judging chambers, and then I get released again on tag. And it was a Friday afternoon, I was told. So I had no idea. I was in my cell. I'd just got my tea for the night, and then I just got the bang, bang, bang at the door. Is it Piers? I said yeah, and he said you're being released, which, you know, brought tears to my eyes. You know, that was a really special day for me, and you know, the same old thing, people on the way out, you say, I'm not coming back, and I'm sure those people see them time and time again. So I come out, my job's been kept open for me, but I return back, and there's that much changed personnel wise that I just didn't feel comfortable anymore, and I didn't want to be there. So I lost my job, and I was put on a tag again with probation. And during that time, the Jeremy Kyle show rang my ex-partner, which had breached the restraining order again. By this time, there's been like, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 months between me making that first call to when they actually rang her. So that was classed as indirect contact, which is on all restraining orders. Direct or indirect contact, you can't have it. So I was arrested again, early hours of the morning, bang, bang, bang at the door, police again, dragged off, and then put before the magistrates the following day. And I was convicted of that again, but no jail. And then a few weeks after that, I was on tag. There was a rainstorm, and this is how stupid things can be. There was an issue with the tag box, but it clocked me leaving my house 8 times within the space of 7 minutes at like 4 in the morning, 4:40 I think it was. I was arrested about 3 hours later at 7 o'clock in the morning, taken again before the magistrates, and convicted of it again. And I was saying to them, and all these times I had legal representation this time. That's the thing you need to learn if you end up in trouble. And I'm not somebody who breaks the law or anything like that. I did something very stupid, and he ended up in a difficult position because of it. And you've got to accept all of these things are coming to you, and that was it. So breached the restraining order again. The tag box. Now here's something that I learned was, if the court was to say no, the tag box is at fault, that would then open the door for everybody else on tag to say, oh no, there's a problem with the box. So yeah, as I say, this is how my life has now become. It's become about jail, trying to work in between, which was virtually impossible, and my life was just falling apart completely. I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and part of that distress is sirens. We've had our car burgled and things go on, and that knock at the door, I'll never ever forget it, but it puts me in a state of panic when I hear it. I just wanted to show you, just to sort of corroborate my story, but this is what you'll receive when you go into Strangeways. On the back it has numbers for Samaritans and things like that. I know it's sort of back to front, but yeah, you know, I met some characters in there. I met some drug dealers, big time drug dealers, you know, that were doing 10 or 15 years for serious money laundering, drugs. Met one guy who had a massive black eye, been beaten up, and I got talking to him, and unfortunately when you're in jail the same old thing comes out, what are you in for? So I asked him, and he said to me, I beat my girlfriend up and then I set her on fire, and I thought she was dead, but she wasn't. And he was done for attempted murder, and he was serving an 8 years I think it was, he was serving for that. You know, and they're the sort of people that you're rubbing shoulders with. That's just to name a few. I was lucky, you know, I had no addictions to the point where I wasn't a smoker or anything like that. When you go into jail, don't borrow anything, right? Don't get anything on tick, because it will catch up with you, and it'll destroy you. Just don't do it. You know, I was a working lad, I'd had a domestic issue, nobody got hurt, might all be mental, and like I say, I'm sorry for that. It's something I'm never going to repeat. I've never been in trouble again since. But when you find yourself in the arms of the law, you know, it's like quicksand, you can't get out of it. It is a big struggle, and the legal costs were sort of like £12,000 upwards. You know, it's just a real bad mistake. I shouldn't have done it. I wasn't very well. In my defence, and it's the only defence I've got, is I wasn't very well at all. At that time I wasn't on any referrals for mental health services, whereas now I've been through mental health services, I've been through the 12 steps. I did the 6 sessions for detox. I was granted a home detox instead of a residential. I didn't want a residential, I didn't think I needed it. But my detox, yeah, you know, this was years later, by the way. You know, I didn't get any help until 2023, and I've got some videos on my phone actually that I'm going to put up of me in my psychosis, which will be quite interesting for you to watch if you've seen this video. So look, it's 33 minutes in, I don't want it to drag on much longer. If you have any questions or you want to talk about anything, my email is you know, buyingtime@gmail.com, capital B, capital T. You know, feel free to get in touch, or leave comments, or, you know, whatever you like. But yeah, thank you for your time, and I'll be back with more stories.